What if everything you believed about the economy was a carefully constructed illusion? What if recessions, booms, and crises are natural cycles, but orchestrated events designed to shape perception and maintain control? And what if the people deciding your financial fate are hidden from view, wielding tools you are never meant to fully understand? Today, we uncover how governments mask crises and manufacture illusions of prosperity. To understand this hidden system, we must first look to history. For centuries, rulers understood that public perception mattered more than actual wealth. Ancient Rome fed citizens and staged games to maintain the illusion of abundance. Medieval kings debased coins, making treasuries appear richer than they were. Perception often outweighed reality. Money has always been a tool of power. Kings, merchants, and bankers understood that controlling currency meant controlling society. By the 17th century, private financiers lent to governments, gradually shifting influence from monarchs to those controlling capital. Confidence in money became a narrative more than a fact. As nations industrialized, the stakes grew exponentially. Wars, infrastructure projects, and economic expansion required massive borrowing. Gold alone could not sustain governments. They needed systems that allowed them to appear prosperous, even when underlying resources were strained. Early economists and statisticians codified these strategies. Numbers, charts, and reports became instruments to shape public perception. Governments didn't just report the economy, they manufactured the impression of health and stability. Crises were inevitable. Financial panics in 1819, 1837, and 1857 revealed the fragility of the system. Yet even in chaos, authorities learned to control emotions. They manipulated confidence as deliberately as they manipulated money. The 20th century introduced central banks as ultimate orchestrators of perception. Controlling interest rates, liquidity, and the money supply allowed governments to simulate growth and mask instability. Asset prices and public debt became instruments for influencing belief, not just accounting reality. World War II showcased perception management at scale. Governments created booms through spending and production, while media reinforced narratives of stability. Post-war reconstruction maintained these illusions even when structural vulnerabilities remained. The creation of the Federal Reserve in 1913 marked a pivotal moment. Conceived in secrecy, it was designed to sit above politics while controlling the money supply. By doing so, it became both referee and player in the economic arena. Central banks learned to create confidence through signaling. Interest rate adjustments, quantitative easing, and policy statements weren't just tools, they were performances meant to convince markets that stability existed, even when underlying risk was growing. Economic crises appear sudden, but they often follow years of hidden accumulation. Over-leveraged banks, corporate debt, and housing bubbles grow quietly. Public perception, guided by narratives, masks instability until it becomes unavoidable. The 2008 financial crisis illustrates this perfectly. Housing prices soared, employment appeared stable, and consumer confidence was high. Yet banks were over-leveraged and derivatives masked risk. When the bubble burst, governments intervened, restoring confidence while systemic problems persisted. This cycle repeats across decades. Crises justify intervention, interventions restore perception, and structural issues remain unresolved. Debt grows, wealth concentrates, and citizens perceive stability even as risks mount. Modern governments refine these methods with technology. Real-time data, predictive modeling, and instant reporting allow authorities to guide sentiment almost immediately. Forecasts and statements shape behavior before reality manifests. Global debt now exceeds $300 trillion, yet headlines emphasize GDP growth and employment metrics. Household debt is at record highs, yet narratives focus on recovery and stability. Governments mask scale and severity through selective reporting. Patterns repeat internationally. Every major economy experiences cycles of accumulation, perceived prosperity, sudden shock, emergency intervention, and narrative restoration. Citizens see the final stages but rarely the hidden buildup. Perception drives action. Believing the economy is healthy, people spend, borrow, and invest. When confidence falters, panic spreads. Governments exploit this by manufacturing stability to maintain control. Structural dependence is systemic. Banks, corporations, and citizens rely on government interventions. Without these illusions, markets would collapse, debt would default, and economies would unravel. Media amplifies the effect. News, headlines, and commentary often reinforce government narratives, downplaying structural weaknesses. Public understanding of real economic risk is limited. Democracy itself can become performative. Citizens see prosperity indicators, but not the levers controlling them. Elections influence perception, not the underlying economic framework. The human cost is substantial. Inflation erodes savings, debt traps multiply, and inequality widens. Yet the illusion of prosperity maintains political and financial control, concealing consequences from public scrutiny. Understanding these mechanisms is vital. Economic reports, media coverage, and official statements are tools of perception management. Financial literacy and critical thinking are necessary to navigate a system where reality is often obscured. Takeaway 1. Governments manipulate economic perception to maintain authority and stability, often hiding systemic risks. Takeaway 2. Crises are inevitable when structural imbalances are masked by manufactured prosperity. Takeaway 3. Citizen awareness is crucial for informed financial and political decisions. The warning is clear. Illusions of prosperity last only until reality asserts itself. When perception fails, crises accelerate. Decisions made today shape the economic shocks of tomorrow. The consequences are already visible. Inflation spikes, housing inaffordability, and unsustainable debt burdens are symptoms of a system built on managed perception. Ignoring them does not prevent the inevitable. We live in a world where economic reality is constructed, not discovered. Money is a narrative, growth is a signal, and stability is often a performance. When crises occur, governments act swiftly to restore perception. Markets rebound, confidence returns, and citizens believe the system is functioning even as structural issues persist. Understanding this cycle allows us to anticipate patterns. Recognizing that prosperity can be manufactured empowers individuals to question narratives and make informed decisions. Ultimately, economic reality is more complex than headlines suggest. By learning how perception is engineered, we gain insight into why recessions, booms, and crises often appear unnatural. Awareness is the first step toward financial literacy. Citizens equipped with knowledge can navigate an economy designed to manage belief as much as numbers. If you want to see behind the curtain of global finance, understand how governments shape reality, and explore the forces driving modern economies, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell, and share this video with someone who trusts headlines too readily. The story doesn't end here. Future crises will test our understanding, and only those aware of the illusions will be prepared to navigate them effectively.